The views and opinions expressed by the participants in this documentary are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Artists and Artisans Development and Network or the Government of Ontario. The documentary is intended to provide a platform for the voices and experiences of seniors and is not intended to be used as a source of information or advice. The filmmakers have made every effort to ensure the accuracy and authenticity of the information presented in the documentary, but cannot guarantee the completeness or reliability of the information.
Closed Doors is a documentary by Artists and Artisans Development and Network organization that takes a deep dive into the experiences of seniors in Canada during the pandemic. These are stories of isolation, loneliness, and resilience. They are stories that need to be heard. They are stories of the struggles and triumphs of a generation that has been hit hard by the pandemic. In this documentary, we will hear from seniors themselves as they open up about their experiences in their own words. For safety precautions, we used Zoom to reach out to these particular seniors. According to healthcare professionals, people older aged were more likely to face higher risks when contracting the virus. This was because older people are likely to have more than one health condition that impacts their immune systems, therefore creating difficulties recovering from COVID-19. About 81% of terminal cases reported have been individuals aged 65 and over. Understandably, seniors felt the need to be vigilant for their safety by maintaining isolation.
I am Darshan Singh Arora. I have been in Canada for 50 years. I am now 90-year-old. I left India in 1963, went to England, and there I studied chartered accountancy. And the government of Canada brought me Canada from England. So I retired myself in 1998. It has been quite challenging because it was difficult to manage at times because we lost good connection with family and friends. We were not able to do the activities that we normally do. And it was quite tough, but at times it was even difficult to manage it. So, but we managed it because one comfort was there because we were not alone. We had other people in the same boat. I was with my wife all the time, but there was nobody in the house who had COVID, and we had to quarantine. So in that way, we were better off. We took a lot of precaution, and it helped us not having COVID ourselves.
I am Shekhar Kochar, as you know it. I am 65 plus right now, and I retired from my work about 10 years, in 2010, you can say. I used to know, I was a contractor for government departments in India, and to be precise, I used to work with different government organizations and semi-government organizations. And mainly, I will tell you the Indo-Pak border, which was Paris, that work was totally with me. So that way life went on, but then kids deliberately brought me here. And that was the end of the business story. And the retired life started. COVID time, it was a very unlucky time for me. It was a hard time. I had gone on a leisure trip to India. I went in March 10th, I think, and it was 2021. And I was to come back on uh, the next month, and that was in April, and my flight was 4th of April. But I think on 29th of that month, all the flights were cancelled, and I got stuck. And it was a very hard time because most of the places, they were closed, clubs were closed, and it was hard.
However, a study done in 2021 found that seniors were feeling isolated from their communities as they could not see people face to face, a form of interaction they were the most used to. Instead, seniors were left with unfamiliar means such as technology to keep in contact with loved ones. Another study found that among over 8,000 older-aged participants, 22.6% felt loneliness or sadness, and 37.1% felt socially disconnected from others.
I'm Yash Sharma, came to Canada 2004, did all kinds of odd jobs. Finally, I got a job with multinational where I was selling chemicals. But later on, I shifted to media. I published newspaper, Asian Tribune for the last 12 years. And I also contested 3 elections. And right now, fully devoted to community. Recently, we have also established Hindu Society of Beaumont and president of that. What I find, we as South Asians residing in Canada, we experience a lot because we are more into socializing. We are more into parties. We are more into celebrations. And my eldest daughter was also got married during COVID. This was very depressing, particularly for South Asians who are picking into socializing and celebrations.
I am B.S. Suneja. We have recently shifted to Canada on PR. I was working in the bank in India for 36 years, and then I worked as an advocate in India in the Bar Council in the Debt Recovery Tribunal. We were dealing with banking cases. So this is my brief introduction. Yes, ma'am. During lockdown, I was in India, and I was tested positive, and I quarantined for 7 days after being tested positive. And my wife she was negative, so she was shifted to another room. And my daughter, who is a doctor over here in William Hospital in Canada, she monitored all my medicines from here by giving zinc, vitamin C, and Tylenol, Dola medicine, etc. Taking steam, checking oxygen level at regular intervals. She was by doctor. Yes, loneliness was there. From my personal experience, for 7 days I was quarantined, and nobody was allowed in the room. My food was being put on the door. So I used to take it, and to pass 7 days in this age group, we use this time for increasing our meditation, and thanks to the Almighty that we are saved. So many people were dying in India, and we were saved, and we were under medication, and we were getting the best treatment. So by then, we started learning the use of technology, and we started playing Ludo with our friends online, and bridge game, and so many other things we learned. It was a very, very sad experience, but we turned into that those 7 days should go very nicely, and we utilized that time for our betterment. Being a senior person, so we cut this time and enjoyed to the maximum extent.
And those who lived alone were prone to experience these feelings. Anxiety and depression became common as lockdowns persisted. Many seniors reported experiencing stressors similar to depression and anxiety during the pandemic, despite having good mental health and not experiencing this before COVID-19.
So my name is Dr. Judy Malone. I'm a psychologist. I was born and raised in rural northeastern Alberta, which is where I moved from there to Edmonton. So I am the CEO of the Psychologists Association of Alberta, and I have one daughter in university. This is a very interesting time because I lead psychology in the province. I had my own stress, like all of us did. How am I going to cope? What are we going to do? But I also had to be able to contribute for all the psychologists in the province and a lot of the media. People didn't have answers. None of us had been through this before. So I moved to working from home right away and actually became quite a bit busier until we could sort of settle things down. I think psychologists were really lucky. We all moved to online treatment very, very early in the pandemic. We are social beings. We need family and friends and community and spirituality. And so it was a really difficult adjustment, and people are still adjusting. Things have changed how we normally do things and interact with one another. Technology is great. We found some new ways to stay connected, but it didn't replace being together in person. So we've added a few more tools in our toolbox for how to stay connected, but it was a really big transition for most of us.
My name is KP Singh. Full name is Kanwal Prakash Singh. I think that people like myself, and there'll be millions of them, who were glad to adjust to the very fact that life was more important, safety was more important than the restrictions that were imposing some limited, some movement and all of that. So we adjusted to the thought with regard to catching up on things that had been postponed for a long time, catching up on reading, catching up on recitations of sacred texts and other things, and catching up on maybe writing or catching up on seeing a movie on a screen or of some sort. So I think that elderly probably adjusted to that thought. They're already accustomed to being alone sometimes, and they, in that sense, no, it was not a terrible adjustment as such, because you could still be in your yard, you could still pick the flowers, you could still do a lot of things without having to have a human contact with other people. And masks, one or two, were not a challenge. I think seniors learn after years of experience that is if that saves our lives, that saves the possibility of having COVID, then that was really part of the process.
I'm Valerie Hurst. This is my husband, Lionel Hurst. Well, I was born and raised in Winnipeg.
And I was born in Galt, which is now Goderich.
Go Hespeler.
Oh, yeah, Pathway.
Not Hespeler.
Not
Cambridge.
Cambridge. Yeah, now Cambridge.
Wow. I mean, we moved around a bit, traveling to different cities where we lived, and ended up here in London, and we've lived here for a long time now. Well, I guess the biggest challenges were not seeing anybody. That was difficult for us. Also, learning how to order food through a computer, going online shopping and grocery stores. So that was a big challenge for us. I think that's about it. I think those are the biggest challenges.
Or they were the big challenges, yeah. And it's worked out well.
Yeah, it did.
It really does.
Lockdown restrictions have forced seniors to face the loss of their loved ones alone, with no comforting embrace of family or friends to help them through the grieving process. The lack of physical contact and closure has made the loss even more difficult to bear, as seniors struggle to come to terms with the reality of their loss. The pandemic has not only taken lives, but also robbed seniors of the opportunity to say goodbye and pay their last respects to their loved ones.
I am Mr. Mohan Singh. I have been in Canada for more than 50 years. I live in Brampton, Ontario. I'm 86 years old. Not in Canada, but in Delhi. We have two cousins. They were 80 plus. we lost them. Just to meet even the son, even close relatives, it was just like that I am in a jail. And I wonder, because people were so afraid. So in that way, I felt quite a bit.
Yeah, my name is Kalwat Singh Mogi, and I live in Cambridge for the last 21 years, and I'm 72 years age. Yeah, it's very painful, really. I did lose some of my friends, some of my relatives, but not in Canada, but they were in India. Very close relatives. They also died during this Corona period. And when they died, we were here in Canada. We couldn't go even in their funeral. So it was bad part on our side, but we were helpless. So some of my friends, very close friends, those who worked with me in India, so they lost their lives during this Corona period. And we met them only after 2 years of their death. So that is the sad part. I definitely lost some of my close friends and relatives as well. But there was no loss in Canada. All my friends and relatives here and my own family, everything is safe and sound. We had some corona, but because we had two injections, everybody had it, so it was not that much effective on us. So it lasted a few days and then everything was okay.
In 2022, pandemic guidelines and mandates began to slowly lift with the introduction of new vaccines and preventative measures. With this, people began to return to their normal lives and routines pre-pandemic. The gradual return to in-person interactions allowed individuals to feel safer about in-person gatherings.
My name is Vicky Lang, and I'm old. I don't know what else I could say about myself. I do a lot of crafts. Don't get out of the house much. Oh, I was with my husband, Wayne. Yeah, he keeps me laughing, so that's good. And I know when this first all started up, and we sit outside every day, and we know this story: no cars, no people. It was like you're on a foreign planet, you know. So that was hard to get used to. And but we're doing good. We're doing good. It's got another dog, so now we have 3 dogs. Hadn't had Christmas in 2 years, so this was our 3rd year, and I had everybody here. There was 17 of us, and it was so good to have everybody all together. And did that. I don't know what else I did. I went out. I go to the stores. I just mask up really good and stay back from people. You know, I don't know. So many people don't wear the mask, and I don't get it because kids are getting sick. And, so that is troublesome.
My name is Ranj Hoti, and I'm a spirit-driven mentor. Some like to call it a coach. Some like to call it a guide. What I do is I hear people, and I come from my beingness to allow them to be. I work with people all around the world with their mindset and how they approach their day-to-day life and how they can improve in areas that they'd like to see improvement in. You and yourself, whether you're a senior or a junior or in between, are so incredibly powerful. And it is so valuable to know what your value is as an individual. So if you could get to know you a bit more, and if a pandemic happens, for instance, it's giving you time to go in. It's giving you time to build a better relationship with you. If you haven't got joy in your heart on your own, there's something missing. You're not seeing your connectedness as a soul on this earth, on this plane, and it's worth knowing who you are. And that way, when you're in that best state on your own, guess what? When you're together with people, it just multiplies, right? So you're never alone. And that is the absolute truth. And knowing yourself on a deeper plane can really cause you to never, ever have to feel like you are missing something in any moment. You're always full. Get yourself to that state and do whatever it takes to get there.
Following the pandemic lockdown, we can support seniors by ensuring that people get vaccinated to build mass resistance to the virus. Not only does this keep seniors safe, but also everyone else. We can support seniors' well-being by creating programs focused on seniors to foster community building and promote community outreach and home visits that help combat loneliness. Seniors can look forward to seeing their family, interacting with community members, and participating in in-person activities and events that can combat feelings of anxiety and depression as a result of COVID-19. COVID-19 has greatly impacted seniors, and the community is needed now more than ever to come together and help those that are the most vulnerable.
My name is Jasjeet Kaur, Project Coordinator with Artists and Artisans Development and Network. This project is a documentary that we have dedicated to our seniors and focused on multicultural spectrum. This documentary will tell intimate stories of seniors coping with layered experience of living with loneliness and in isolation. It will tell senior stories in regards to COVID-19 pandemic and how they have coped and how they are continuing to cope with pandemic. Seniors watching the documentary will see themselves when viewing, and it will help them feel less alone, knowing that others have gone through similar experiences.
Sitting here all alone, stuck at home. I wanna get to you, wanna get to you. I wish we had a chance to go to dance, just you